Yo, listen, man. I'm out here zoning, man. This is my shit right here. I wanna rock right now. Bronx, man. Yo, this record right here. Like it's on because some made juice. They're trying to get loose. Yo, this shit right here, I'm gonna pause this for a second. Yo, listen. Bubblin' Camp Blow is one of the best rap songs I've ever heard, okay? Just that beat is like my shit. You know, there's certain beats that are. Look, hip hop has thousands of phenomenal beats, and this one is like damn near top 20, 100 for me type shit. Like, I fucking love that beat. Ski Beats did some amazing shit. And it's funny because me and my girl were talking about this yesterday, and I think something that y'all need to understand, especially for some of y'all newer viewers. And look, listen, there's nothing wrong with discovering hip hop when you discover it. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be in a rush. You know, don't feel like, oh, I only started listening to hip hop in like 2010 or whatever, therefore I'm like inferior. Nah. Whenever you discover hip hop is when you discover it. That's fine. But what y'all need to understand is that the 90s had so many good rappers. I don't think people really understand this shit. You know, they kind of like they listen to like Nas, Jay, and then they like jump into like Kendrick and stuff because that's kind of what they're familiar with, right? You know, they're younger, so they haven't had the opportunity to go all the way back, and they don't really want to spend the time and go all the way back. They just want to have like a cursory understanding of what's going on. So they go, okay, Nas is a goat, Jay is a goat, and then they like jump right into like modern day, and then that's why they start saying, oh, Kendrick Lamar's a goat. Nah, it doesn't work like that. I don't think people really understand that like there were so many good rappers in the 90s. So many. There were lots of them in the 80s, but there were especially a shit ton of them in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? Just out of Bronx alone, there were amazing rappers. There are lots of them. Camp Lo is an example. And these are rappers that, you know, you might not have heard of. But they had an amazing album. They had some amazing songs. They were right there in terms of like they were about to work with Big Pun and things like that. Like these were contemporaries. They were competition. You know, the reason why we look at Nas and Jay now is that they've just had longer careers, right? And to be fair, they were also iller, actually. Like when you look at Nas and Jay and Wu Tang, and they were a notch above what was already a competitive and amazing field. They were actually even above that. So they've obviously stuck out, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they were the only ones that were rocking. I mean, there were lots of rappers that were dope that maybe weren't as dope as a Nas or dope as a Jay, but were kind of right beneath them, right? Or at least in the vicinity where you could play a Jay record that was really dope and then switch it to a Camp Lo record. Again, people forget that Camp Lo and Jay-Z kind of had similar, you know, ski beats and things like that. They had things in common to a certain degree. And you could argue that Jay, on Reasonable Doubt, took a little bit of Camp Lo's flow. So, you know, they're all around each other. And I think that's the problem with looking at Kendrick or Griselda and things like that and being mad that I don't like them. It's like I'm comparing Griselda not even so much to Nas and to Jay, because they're obviously not even anywhere close to those guys. But I'm comparing, you know, Kendrick and Griselda to Camp Lo. I'm comparing them to G Dep. I'm comparing them to a bunch of people, right, in the 90s that you don't know about that were competitors and were people that were on the come up there in the underground scene. I'm comparing them to Dez from East Flatbush Project. You know, I'm comparing them to these people, and I'm like, they're not even as good as these random motherfuckers that y'all don't know about. Not to talk about like the Jay and the Nas's of the world. Like, it's ridiculous, and that's why I couldn't buy into that shit. So, anyways, Camp Lo, Bubblin'. Love that fucking record. You know, let me try and see if I can put another record that I really love up here. Random song, you know? We never really talk about Smif N Wessun. Smif N Wessun were real dope. I like them a lot too, obviously. Soundboard Burial is one of my favorite songs ever. And that's what, again, as I was saying in a previous video where I did this, is that, again, you have to listen to all of hip-hop, because just because Smif N Wessun aren't mentioned like a Jay-Z doesn't mean that Smif N Wessun didn't contribute a lot to hip-hop. Or at least, they may not have as many tracks as Jay, obviously, or Nas, but they may have contributed one or two amazing songs to the game that everybody in hip hop loves and will always love, right? So that's why it's important to really pay attention, right? This is my shit right here. These guys always had a bunch of songs. Smif N Wessun in general, Stand Strong is one of my great songs. Like, if you want to listen to Smif N Wessun, I would imagine starting with The Shining. Then you might want to listen to, there's something called The Money, Nothing Moved But The Money. It's like an unreleased sort of record. That's a dope one too by Smif N Wessun. But Stand Strong is my shit. Soundboy Burial, the video version is my shit. Hallucination, Let's Get It On. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them records that are fire, right? But this one is probably like one of my favorite. For any of you who know the song, this shit always killed me. I always found this fucking hilarious. It ain't over, motherfuckers.
It ain't over.
ST, where I represent. The build, the do or die. Niggas can pull your steel. Yo, this shit, I wish they put this out, but they couldn't, you know what I mean? Nintendo wasn't playing that shit. So, anyway, Super Brooklyn, people had shit, man. So, do some knowledge, man. Anyway, y'all have a good one.